I made it, y'all. I am no longer a freshman. I'm a sophomore now. Yay me. Oh my goodness. So this is my Surgiversary / what to expect 12-month out video. So I know in the intro, I guess I referred to myself as a no longer a freshman or a sophomore, but maybe I need to stick with the theme that I started earlier, which was a newborn, / toddler / I guess I would officially be a big kid now. Sort of, kind of, not really. Yeah, it feels good to say that I made it a full year. So anywho, yeah, I guess here is a recap of a couple of the things that I've noticed, I've experienced, my upcoming plans for this year moving forward, my second year post-op. And so here goes. I am still eating approximately 250 to 300 calories per meal, which always averages about to almost exactly 5 to 6 ounces per meal for me, which is I personally think is so strange, but I guess that is where my body is. It knows exactly how much I can hold per feeding per se. Yeah, almost every single meal that I have, it's always between 250 and 300 calories. I'm not gonna say always, but for the most part, we would say out of 4 meals, that's basically what 3 of them are. And it's been that way for me ever since about 6 months post-op, I believe. I've been holding at about 5 to 6 ounces ever since about 6 months post-op. So yeah, I thought that was kind of strange. I thought I would have been at more by now, and I even pushed it one time, I'm not gonna lie. I pushed it to 8 ounces. I pushed a meal purposely to 8 ounces to see, and if you haven't already figured out or already don't know, I weigh almost all of my food. If it's packaged and it doesn't say on the package how much it is, I keep my little scale right there in my kitchen, and my scale is my best friend. It's more so a consistency builder at this point. It's also basically a habit now, which I'm very proud of, but I basically weigh everything. So that's how I know that I'm eating 5 to 6 ounces or 250 to 300 calories per meal now. So yeah, I think that's, like I said, odd, and I didn't know if that was, I'm not gonna say normal, because I don't really believe there's a such thing as normal. Everybody is different, but I just felt like, okay, shouldn't I be at least a cup by now? So I tried it. I pushed it to a cup, and I don't recommend anybody do that, because no, I didn't experience dumping per se, but I just felt very uncomfortable, extremely full. I knew I overdid it, basically. I knew I overdid it after I did it, I mean. And now knowing that, I don't do that anymore. I only did it, I think, like once or twice, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm not here yet. I'm not even trying to push myself to that point. I was just honestly thinking like, well, can I eat more? Am I able to hold more? But no, I'm not. But the odd thing is, I would say, is that I noticed that around month 11, I was getting hungrier. So I reluctantly, just recently, probably like yesterday, increased my caloric intake. Now, for those who don't know, I've said this in multiple videos, and so I'm not saying this to make it seem like I'm some sort of an expert, because I'm definitely not. But I have a degree in dietetics and nutrition, and as a result, there are a lot of things that I do that many other people may not do. For example, I track my food, I weigh my food, I measure every single thing, and I also reassess where I am in terms of my eating on a 3-month basis. So every 3 months I will reassess where I was eating, and I will either remain where I am or increase my calories in 200 calorie allotments. So it may seem a little too structured or maybe even a little neurotic to some, but for me it's not. I have to be this way at this point because of the fact that I want to make sure I succeed this time. I'm trying to be careful with my can't and don't terms. I really have to be careful with what I say and how I put certain things out there into the universe. So what I'm trying to make sure is that I succeed this time, because one of the misconceptions, and I've said this in several videos, is that people automatically believe that simply because you had VSG, now you're suddenly cured and you won't ever gain weight anymore, or you won't regain what you've lost. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Several people that I know personally have had the surgery and regained the weight within a year's time, because they did not take the time to truly utilize their tool as they should. And VSG is simply that. It's only a tool. I love the fact that I can't pig out anymore, because I really used to do that. Like, I really didn't know when to stop or how to stop, or I allowed my emotions to control what I put in my mouth, and so on and so forth. And so VSG is a tool, but at the same time, I have to work my tool or use my tool, or it will fail me. So nonetheless, back to what I was saying, I'm not neurotic per se, but I track for consistency purposes and habit building purposes, and also so I can know if there are any changes that I need to make. So I love having a record of, okay, well, I did this on this day, I consumed this on that day, and I did this. It makes me feel like I'm being more accountable, basically. I'm being more accountable for my actions, whereas a lot of people will gain weight and have no idea how or why or what happened. And so now, me utilizing my scale and my tracking and my consistency builders is my way of being more accountable for myself and my weight. So with that being said, yes, I do reassess where I am on a quarterly basis, I guess you can say, on a quarterly basis. And if I determine that I am hungrier, or I notice a pattern of exceeding my calories, and that's what happened. I noticed the pattern of I was exceeding my calories quite a bit, quite frequently. I tracked my eating for the last 90 days leading up until my Surgiversary, to see just how many days I had consumed more than my calorie allotment at that time. And at that time, at my 9-month mark, I was at 1,000 calories. I allowed myself to consume 1,000 calories. I built my way up to that. I didn't start out that right after surgery. And so now I see that it's probably a safe zone for me to have a 1,200 calorie limit. I was very reluctant to allow myself to be at 1,200 calories a year out, but at the same time, I think it's a safe place for me right now. But one thing I am going to do is, as opposed to reassessing where I am on a quarterly basis, I think, sorry about that, y'all. Anyway, I was saying that instead of reassessing where I am quarterly, I now, moving forward, plan to do it semi-annually. So every 6 months I will check to see where I am. If my 200 calorie increase did not work, it's just I'm just gonna have to make it work and be a little bit more strict with myself, because again, you know, it's simply a tool, and you know, I have to make sure that I do my part in order to work my tool properly. I still have to pause in between bites, but I don't have to pause as long as I used to. Hold on one second, y'all. Okay, I think I was a little crooked there. But no, yeah, I don't have to pause as long as I used to, but I definitely still have to pause in between bites, you know, take a break in between bites, make sure I'm cognizant of, you know, how chewed my food is prior to swallowing, and then, you know, give that swallow some time to digest. Again, it's nowhere near as focused and calculated as it was before, because I literally had to measure, time the length of time in between my bites. Maybe I am a little bit neurotic, y'all, I don't know. Yeah. Now that I think about it, maybe I am a little neurotic, because I measure and I time everything. Or it could just be, you know, my nutrition background. I don't know. No, I don't think that got nothing to do with my nutrition. I time and I measure everything. You know what that says about me. But yeah, anyway, back to what I was saying. I just had a moment. Yeah, before I used to literally set a timer in between my bites. I know that's crazy. Now, that one I give you, whoever said it out there, because I hear you. Yeah, shit a little crazy. Yeah, I give you that. That probably was a bit much, but again, I felt like at that point, everything you used to know about eating prior to having VSG honestly has to change. And that was one of my ways of making those changes. And you usually don't know if you don't have, you know, some sort of playbook or guidelines or someone who's been through it to actually tell you. And then again, everybody is different. So just because she went through this doesn't mean that I will go through that, and so on and so forth. So I really didn't know what else to do in between my bites, and for a while it actually stressed me out. I posted about it on my Instagram, and I had to play with I had to experiment until I figured out a method that would allow me to eat, and that involved literally timing myself. So yeah, it's a little neurotic, but it worked, and I'm glad that I don't have to do it now. But I do still keep my phone very close to me when I eat. When it's showing my lock screen, you know, if my lock screen is up, I'll still, you know, push it on the side to see how many minutes has passed in between. But I don't like have to physically time it anymore. Like I used to literally set a timer. I don't gotta do that no more. So yeah, I still have to pause, just not as much. And I can also get in more bites between those pauses. What I mean is I can take one bite, chew it up, swallow it, take another bite, chew it up, swallow it, maybe 3, but I know I can get about 2 in, and then at that point, okay, my stomach's like, okay, take a break, let it digest, and then proceed. So, you know, I can get more bites in now. This, I felt like, was a long time coming, and I really did not know when or if I would even be able to do it again. But I just recently found out that I can now drink plain water again. Y'all, I was so happy about that, and that's so odd because I'm not someone that absolutely loves water per se, but I started to miss it because I could not have plain water anymore. The only way I could drink water post-op was if it was flavored. And in the very beginning, I couldn't even drink the powdered drink mixes because they, oh my God, they irritated my stomach so bad. So I was only able to use the liquid drink enhancers, like the Great Value enhancers, or natural, not natural light, Crystal Light. Natural Light is a beer. No, not beer. No beer. So yeah, I could only handle those before. Now I'm at powdered. I've been at powdered for a while, but recently, very recently, I think it was a couple days after my Surgiversary, I decided to experiment with plain water. And I guess the way I drink it now isn't really plain because I have an infuser bottle and I chop up the lemons and I put the lemons inside the infuser, and then I add about a teaspoon of chia seeds. Put those in the bottom of the bottle, put the infuser back in, then I pour the water in, like bottled water. I will pour the bottled water in, shake it up, let it sit, to hydrate the chia seeds. I know I'm weird. I know that. But this, when I tell y'all, I started doing this before I had surgery, like way before. And I don't know how I stumbled upon that little concoction, but it worked so good and it tastes so good and it helped me get in my water because I've always struggled to get in my water on a regular basis. But when I started to do that, I'm like, this tastes so good. So I missed being able to do that. I couldn't do that, like I said, because it's still technically plain water, and I couldn't handle that post-op. But I tried it. It went down very well, and so I'm happy to say that it only took a year before I could drink plain water again. So now I can handle plain water. Y'all, it's the little things, because again, I can't say it enough, I can't stress it enough, but so much changes after you have surgery. So much changes post-op, and you're literally, you're completely relearning everything that you used to do. And that's the thing, you have to be prepared to make these changes, because if you're not, you're only going to set yourself up for failure. You can't have this surgery and then think that you can go back to the old way that you used to do things and you're going to succeed. It ain't gonna work like that, boo. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. Trust me. So all of my little kinks and quirks might seem strange and weird, but trust me, they work. These are tried and true. I am an experimenter. I experiment. I tried this stuff, and again, I know what works for me isn't going to work for everybody, but trust me, the things that I've tried, they've been very successful for me. And I think I did okay. I'm a slow loser, but altogether I lost about approximately, we'll say 120 pounds. I don't remember the exact amount, but yeah, I think it was like 119, 120 pounds. And 11 or 12 of that was including my pre-op, my 2 weeks pre-op. So I know a lot of people don't like to include their pre-op weight, but I do, because it's all to me the beginning of a life change, And so when I decided to commit to the pre-op diet, I know that there was no looking back. So I always include my pre-op. Additionally, the pre-op is more so to get you accustomed to making certain changes. A lot of people think that the pre-op is for weight loss, and it absolutely is not. It has absolutely nothing to do with weight loss. The pre-op diet is a liver shrinking diet. It's to shrink your liver, so when your surgeon go in there, he don't hit nothing he ain't got no business hitting. That's what that's about, And so I had to learn that myself, because I was thinking, and again, even pre-op, I was losing slow. I'm like, I only lost 11, I think exactly it was like 11.8 or something like that. So that was No, it was 11.2. Yeah, because it was 5.6 each week. I lost exactly 5.6 pounds in those 2 weeks, each week during that 2-week phase. So yeah. Am I doing my math right? Yeah. 11.2. Right? Yeah, 11.2. Yeah. So about 11 pounds. And, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I told you I've been struggling to lose weight for a while. So even technically starving myself for those 2 weeks, in that liquid diet, it just wasn't working. And later, after doing research and after calling my surgeon's office and after just talking, I was like, look, if you're still hungry, eat. We want you to eat, but it has to be the liquids. We want you to consume as many liquids as you can because the focus is not weight loss. And I like, oh, that makes total sense. It made total sense to me or whatever, because you definitely want to stick to sugar-free and stuff like that. But it was like the amount of carbs in the stuff, the dietitian, well, I'm not a dietitian, but my dietetics degree started to ramble around in my head, and I'm like, well, this ain't really, this stuff kind of high carb. A lot of it's sugar-free, but it still got too many carbs, and I'm like, how am I able to eat? And so then that's when I was like, oh, a light bulb went off, and it was like, ding, 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 ding. It's not even about that. So again, that's why I include everything. I include from the day I committed to my pre-op diet to my Surgiversary, and all of that is about 120 pounds, So yeah, I probably just totally lost my train of thought because I am a rambler. That's why I like to take notes and read notes and look down at my notes, because else I'll go off on a complete tangent. So anyway, let me get back on track, y'all. So basically that's about it, but now I want to touch on my plans for the upcoming year. Year one was only the beginning. Now things are getting will get a little bit harder because, I'm not gonna say I'm on my own now, but things have started to normalize. You can, like I said, I'm getting hungrier, I'm eating a little bit more, and so as a result, I know that I have to push myself even further this year. So with that, my goal, again, being a slow loser, is I would love to lose approximately 30 to 35 more pounds. I don't want to be skinny. I've never wanted to be skinny. I don't even believe I have the frame to be skinny. That's never been a desire of mine. So even losing 30 to 35 more pounds, I'm kind of skeptical about, because yes, that would put me in the normal zone. I think I still might even be considered overweight at that point. I'm still obese at this size. I'm still considered obese. I'm no longer a class 3 obese, but I'm still considered obese. So losing the 30 to 35 pounds will put me in like the normal overweight range, I think. But depending upon how I look, I might not even want to lose that much. Nonetheless, in addition to losing those 30 to 35 pounds, I plan to gain back another 10 to 15 in muscle. I definitely want to increase my muscle. I want to tone up. I want to firm up. And so my plan is to begin to do a lot more weightlifting, strength training, HIIT classes, things like that. The thing of it is, I've been doing it occasionally, very occasionally and sporadically, but I've also been in the process of developing a plan for myself to test out. And so hopefully it will get me to my goals with this year. A lot of times I feel like my goals don't sound as intense as those of others, but I also don't necessarily compare myself to others. I just have to remember that I was just over 300 pounds, about a little over a year ago. And so going from over 300 pounds to now 180 some odd pounds, and being able to do the things that I can do now, or my fitness level now, basically, you know, two totally different worlds and two totally different lifestyles. And so I plan to continue to build upon that. I'm not trying to dive head first into something and be inexperienced. I love to do my research and find out what I'm doing before I do it. That's just me. I'm extremely analytical, and I've always been the type to do my research on anything. So yeah, when it comes to weightlifting, bodybuilding, strength training, I've been doing a lot of research on those things, and I plan to incorporate many of those into my lifestyle now moving forward. So like I said, tons of strength training and all of that is going to take place for me this year. Additionally, I also plan to start tons of product experimentation. I want to try as many keto, as many low calorie, sugar-free products as possible. I want to try as many different weight loss products as possible, and I will definitely share those here. I'll do my product reviews and all that good stuff. But this is because I am the type of person that gets bored very easy. And for me, boredom has a tendency to lead to stagnation. And stagnation has a tendency to lead me back to old habits. It's such as just consuming a whole bunch of unhealthy crap and not really being cognizant or aware of just what I'm putting inside my body. So that's why I want to try many different new things, so that when I do have a snack or a desire for a snack or whatever the case may be, I now have a healthier alternative as opposed to something that may not be as healthy. So yes, tons of product experimentation, tons of product reviews will take place on this channel this year moving forward. I also want to continue to focus on my consistency. Out of everything, that's probably my biggest goal, because to me, I know that regardless of what I do to lose weight, that if I don't do it consistently, I'm going to easily fall off track, easily. And so maybe that also lends credence to the fact that I'm now discovering that I'm slightly neurotic. Yeah, maybe. But I have to be this way. Like I said, if I get too lax, I'll fall off track, and it's just a continuous cycle, and it's happened so many times throughout my life. So this is new. Everything that I'm doing this year is, or the year before, moving into this year, is new for me. But I'm trying to definitely focus heavily on my consistency. I have to be more of a consistent person. Also, my channel won't be strictly about VSG. You know, I look at VSG in terms of, let's say, catalyst versus reaction. And what I mean by that is VSG was the catalyst. VSG was the driving force behind everything that I do now moving forward in my life when it comes to my physical as well as my mental health. Because again, a lot of my weight came from emotional eating. And so the VSG was the catalyst. However, now, however I respond or whatever I choose to do now to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction health-wise is the reaction to having VSG. So a lot of my videos will not only center on VSG, but they will be focused on health, wellness, fitness, and things along those lines. You know, cooking videos, what I eat in a day videos, you know, various things. Even things in terms of clothing, you know, because you go through so many different clothes and you go through so many different sizes, and you want to know, like, okay, well, where can I find the most affordable stuff right now that'll look half decent on me, and so on and so forth. So those are the types of things that you'll get from me moving forward this year. So thank you so much for watching my 1-year Surgiversary, what to expect 12 months moving forward video, or what to expect 12 months out video. If you've reached your Surgiversary or it's approaching, I would love to read about or know about your health and fitness goals for this upcoming year. Love to read that, so drop that down below. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you can keep up with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.